All right, hello everybody. Today we want to talk about how we can use tags in Follow-Up Boss to feed our Sisu dashboards. Basically what it's going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to track set, met, and signed clients. So set appointments, met appointments, and signed either listings or signed buyer broker agreements in your Sisu dashboards. This is a huge thing. A lot of coaches looking at this as they do their reporting. They want to know, how many clients did you set an appointment with? How many of those did you sign? How many of those did you actually meet with? And what's the ratio there? What's your ratio of, listing appointments attended versus listing appointments or listings actually signed? So huge coaching numbers, and you're going to be able to track them basically purely out of your Follow-Up Boss system. So I have a test lead set up here, a couple of housekeeping items. One, you'll need a Zapier connection set up for this. So if you haven't talked with our team about it, make sure you reach out. We can help you get one set up so that everything will flow between the two systems. And two, you need to make sure that your name, so my name, whatever that is in Sisu, full name there, matches perfectly with whatever my name is in Follow-Up Boss. That's first name, last name. As long as those two are matching, you'll have your data flowing right from Follow-Up Boss into Sisu. And it should all work pretty smoothly. So once you have that all set up, you know you have a Zapier connection, you know that your names match in both platforms, we can show you how one of these connections works. So we have our lead here. We got Dustin Pedroia. We have some test information in here. Looks like we don't have lead source, so we'll go ahead and add one of those in so we can see that pull over. We have an estimated price, so that's good. And now we're going to use these tags. That's basically how we're communicating with Sisu. And we're saying, hey, this lead's in my CRM. I just set an appointment with it. So we'll search for, let's say this is a buyer. So we're going to say we have a buyer appointment set. We're going to add that tag. Now, these tags run on a cadence of about every 5 minutes. So I've added this. I'm going to go and manually run it so we don't have to wait here on the video. But in a real scenario, real life scenario, you should see these run every 5 minutes. So on the zeros and the fives of every hour, Zapier is going to go out, they're going to look in Follow-Up Boss, and they're going to pull over any leads and give you credit, in this example, for setting an appointment with a buyer. So I'm going to run that real quick. We're going to run buyer appointment set. And that process is running. And now we can come back into our Sisu system. So what we should be seeing is credit for having set an appointment. So let's see where I have my appointments set right here. So I have my appointments set. I'm looking at my personal dashboard for how many I've actually set. I'm at 7. We should see this reflected and turned into 8. And we'll see that it is. So by adding this tag in Follow-Up Boss, we've set it up to give you credit for setting an appointment. Now I can run it again and say, okay, well, maybe like a day later, 2 days later, a week later, I actually met with Dustin. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new tag in. I'm going to say buyer appointment met and save that. Just refresh it just in case. I'll speed this up. Now we should be seeing, this is actually displayed a little bit differently in the dashboard, where we're actually going to see that appointment met. So I was at 1, and what we're going to be seeing after this is that we're going to be at 2. So ran that. Okay, cool. Now I got credit for that buyer appointment met. Now I can actually click in here, and you can see this on the app as well, the different leads and their different stages. But if I click here, it'll automatically show me a list of, hey, here's that lead that I just went with. It's Dustin. It pulled over the transaction amount. It pulled over the email. The phone number is coming over. We can see that appointment set date came in. That was what we did previously. And then we got our appointment met date. And it's actually pulling in the transaction amount, which is this price field here, to give me an estimate as far as, okay, I've gone on 2 buyer appointments this month, and here's the estimated volume of both of those appointments. I'm starting to forecast how much money I'm going to make. Now, last thing that I'll show you here, we're just going to do signed. So we're going to do buyer signed. Whoops, we need to do that. We'll do this and save it. And in just a few minutes, we'll see it reflected back over in our Follow-Up Boss. So let's see this. Cool. So now we're going to see if we go back to our dashboard, what should happen was, or what already happened was, I was at 1 signed buyer. My goal was 3 for the month. I was at 1, so I was behind my goal. I just added in 1 more signed buyer, which put me up to 2. Click here and I'll see Dustin as a signed buyer now. It's added in that sign date for me. And so now I'm getting those metrics. So works the same on the seller side. If I add those seller tags, you know, for example, maybe I'm doing a double side here, or I have a different lead that I'm working with. I'll just pull up my Sisu tags and I'll go seller appointment set, or seller appointment met, or seller signed. Now, you should always try to add these in order. Don't just add a signed if you haven't met or set. You should at least add those tags in first, because at some time you spoke with this person and you actually met with them to sign that appointment. So try and keep it in order as far as set, met, then signed. If you need to add them in at once, that's fine. But just try and keep them in order. Don't add a sign tag if you haven't even added a met tag yet. That could throw things off a little bit. But yeah, same thing. If I were to add in these these seller tags, it would pull over into my Sisu dashboard. And when I look at my goals, or how well I'm tracking towards those goals, I'm going to see that lead attributed to these totals. And when I click through, I'll be able to pull back the layers and see what's actually happening there. Now, a couple other cool things. You'll notice, you know, for example, with Dustin that we're just barely tracking, it's pulling over some really cool information, such as the lead source or that price field that I already mentioned. So this will give you some ideas. You can come in and run reports and say, you know, show me my lead sources. You know, where are my leads actually coming from? These are where my appointments and my signed clients have came from. Let's look at the ROI of that. So where is all my income coming from? And I don't have a lot of data populated in here, but it's going to start to show you where your commission's coming from. What lead sources are they coming from? You'll be able to run conversion ratios on this production activity and say, what's my ratio of set to met, or met to signed, or what's my ratio of conversations to set appointments? So there's all kinds of things that you can be tracking in here. The automation with follow-up bots just makes it a little bit easier to track. So hopefully that's helpful. One other question you might have is, well, how do I track under contract through to closing? And what typically happens on most teams is the admin will actually, once you sign a contract, they'll come in here and find that lead, and they'll start updating it, and they'll put in accurate numbers as far as transaction amount, GCI, what the actual commission splits will be on the deal for forecasting purposes. They'll put in an under contract date, a future settlement date. And typically the admin has a little more control over that, because they really need to know accurately what those numbers are. And it's not always super easy to pull that from a CRM and actually have accurate numbers. So typically as an agent, your responsibility is just tracking these all the way through to signed so that there are accurate numbers there. And then the admin team will take it from contract to close. They can actually lock the transaction and keep everything up to date as it should be. They can hit lock here and lock that if they need to. So that's kind of how this all works. Hopefully that's been helpful. Reach out to our team if you have questions. We have a chat box right here in the bottom right of the platform. Okay?